The UKO is investigating the involvement of a high-ranking official under Minister of Finance María Jesús Montero in the Begoña Gómez case and in Operation Leire. Let's get started. Hello everyone and welcome to a new edition of Medidas Cautelares. The truth is the news is on fire right now, and here on Medidas Cautelares, we keep investigating, we keep digging to bring you the best information every day, exclusive information, top-notch information. And pay attention because today we're going to reveal that a high-ranking official appointed by the Minister of Finance, María Jesús Montero, is being investigated by the UCO in two cases. Different corruption cases, and both of course related to the corrupt dealings of Pedro Sanchez's government. Watch until the end, I know you'll enjoy it, and as always we'll share this info on screen. If you haven't done it yet, remember to subscribe. Just click here and you'll be subscribed to the Medidas Cautelares channel for free, as we're on our way to 150,000 subscribers. If you already have this information on screen, which we're going to analyze, here is the Minister of Finance and Vice President of the government, María Jesús Montero, in one of her unclassifiable and indescribable poses in the Congress of Deputies. And we're going to analyze this information, which is very important. The Civil Guard's Central Operational Unit, UCO, is investigating a high-ranking official under Minister of Finance and Vice President María Jesús Montero for involvement in the Begoña case and Operation Leire. This concerns the President of the Central Administrative Tribunal for Contractual Appeals, María de la Concepción Ordiz, who was appointed by the Council of Ministers at the proposal of Montero in June 2021. If you remember, about a week or 10 days ago, I already told you that this woman was implicated in Operation Leire, but she is also being investigated in connection with the Begoña Gómez case. The Central Administrative Tribunal for Contractual Appeals is a specialized administrative body responsible for resolving special appeals in the area of public procurement. Its main area is the national public sector, although it can also assume responsibilities from autonomous communities or local entities that sign agreements with it to delegate the resolution of these appeals. In other words, it is a very important tribunal that has a lot of decision-making power in the area of public procurement. Well, the union Manos Limpias, whose complaint started the investigation into the case of the wife of the president of the government, Pedro Sánchez, everything must be said. We must always give credit where credit is due. The complaint that gave rise to the investigation into the Begoña Gómez case came from the Manos Limpias union. Well, this union, which is participating in the proceedings as a private prosecutor after filing that original complaint, sent a document to the head of the investigating court number 41 in Madrid, Juan Carlos Peinado. This accusation put the president of the Central Administrative Court in the spotlight for contractual appeals, María de la Concepción Ordiz, in the context of the Begoña Gómez case, for having awarded contracts to the businessman Juan Carlos Barrabés. You already know that he is the other key figure in the investigation of the Begoña Gómez case, this businessman who is a friend of the wife of Pedro Sánchez. Well, according to a document from Manos Limpias, sent to the judge initially, on September 3, 2021, the Central Administrative Tribunal for Contractual Appeals, the one she presides over, María de la Concepción Ordiz, known as Conchita, suspended the awarding of lots 1 and 3 of the file 01420 to the consortium formed by Innovanext and the Valley Digital Business School, which is Barrabés' consortium. And Manos Limpias says in this document, they ask, what is it that happens from this moment on so that 2 months after the previous decision, this court lifts the suspension of the award of both lots and approves the award to the consortium that had failed to comply with the requirements in the specific administrative terms and technical specifications. I think it's very clear, isn't it, what Manos Limpias is asking? On November 5, 2021, this court is going to decline to admit NT for Learning's appeal and to lift the suspension of the award of lots 1 and 3 and of the rest of the contracts where the equality plan was required. This party has well-founded reasons, he says. Manos Limpias believes that the court may have been pressured from some authority to resolve these irregularities. Awards in favor of the Barrabés joint venture. Since we have seen, as in other contracts that were appealed because there were clauses in the terms that irregularly required some special condition for execution, el citado tribunal acordó eliminar. The court annulled the clauses and reverted to the beginning of the bidding process. I think these suspicions raised by Manos Limpias are very well founded. It's in Judge Peinado's hands. And obviously the UCO is working on them because you already know that the UCO, except for the Plus Ultra case, investigates all the cases related to the corruption closing in on Pedro Sanchez's government. But I also told you that a few days ago I already presented you with the other side of this information. And this woman too, the president of the court, I'm going to say it correctly because it's a long title, Central Administrative Court of Contractual Appeals, María de la Concepción Ordiz, is also implicated in the so-called Operation Leire. We reported it in interim measures. The head of the Investigative Court Number 5 of the National Court, Santiago Pedras, is investigating this case. To the PSOE's fixer, Leire Díez, and the former president of the State Society of Industrial Participation, SEPI, Vicente Fernández, and the alleged partner of the former secretary of the PSOE organization, Santos Cerdán, in Servinavar Anchón Alonso. All three were arrested last December as part of this corruption scheme related to public contracts, mainly from SEPI, by the Civil Guard's Central Operational Unit, UCO, for crimes of official misconduct, embezzlement, influence peddling, and criminal organization. Well, the UCO has found communications and files that show how the president of the Central Administrative Court of Contractual Appeals, appointed by María Jesús Montero, made decisions at the direction of the former president of SEPI, Vicente Fernández. In fact, Fernández was Montero's right-hand man for years. The investigation into Operation Leire is still under seal and is far from over. New charges cannot be ruled out in the coming days, nor can the possibility of new lines of investigation being opened. Well, I think it's very important. I've always told you that in the end, all corruption cases have a common link, and that is they point to Pedro Sánchez or his wife. Ultimately, they're all just the Sánchez Gómez family. And look what a coincidence, this president of the Central Administrative Court of Contractual Appeals, María de la Concepción Ordiz, known as Conchita, is implicated in the Begoña Gómez case for having altered decisions to award contracts to Begoña Gómez's businessman friend, Juan Carlos Barrabés. And at the same time, she is also implicated because the UCO has found communications between this president of the Central Administrative Court of Contractual Appeals and the former president of SEPI, Vicente Fernández, to also make certain decisions that would have benefited this other corruption scheme, the so-called Operation Leire. In the end, everything leads back to Pedro Sánchez and Begoña Gómez, and of course, that's what medidas cautelares are for. To share all this information with you, first-hand information that you won't find in other media or on other YouTube channels. Here we have first-hand information. That's why we're experiencing the growth we are and have the support of all of you. Because here we share information that you wouldn't find out about anywhere else. And that's it for this edition of Medidas Cautelares. I hope you enjoyed the video. Leave me your opinions as always. I will never get tired of thanking all of you for your messages of encouragement that you leave every day in the comments and so on. You already know that you can become members like the chosen ones for less than 3 euros a month, or like the supreme ones for less than 7 euros a month, and that way you help this community keep growing day by day. And you can also make contributions via Bizum to 627-556-370. 627-556-370. And we're actually going to dedicate today's show to one of our subscribers who made a contribution through Bizum, which is Juan Luis Hope. So today's show is for you, Juan Luis. And if you like the video, share it with whoever you want. Leave your comments, your opinions. And remember that a lot of the information you see first on Medidas Cautelares will later appear in other media. Most likely, no one will mention us, but you, as subscribers, as members of this community, will know that we were the first to share it here. Remember that name, Maria de la Concepcion Ortiz, because it will end up appearing sooner or later. You'll remember you first heard her name here on Medidas Cautelares. The most important thing, as I always say, is for this information to reach everyone because information is power. See you soon.